Hello, I hope you're having a great day, and if not, I hope I can distract you for a long time because this video is going to be pretty long. My name is Sam, and today I'm going to be talking about Miss Girl, the one and only Huening Bahiyyih, because this is a theme that it's been going on in my head and in a lot of people's heads for the longest time, and I just want to talk about it. One thing that I will mention is that together we will learn how to pronounce her name because she has one of the most complicated names to pronounce in the whole K-pop industry. I think it's Huening Bahiyyih, but anyways, that's not the main topic of this video, but just know that I'm gonna refer to her as Miss Girl sometimes just because it's just fun. And yeah, no, I want to talk about a lot of things about her because she is so popular. She's literally the most popular member of Kep1er. Every time she does absolutely anything, her fan cams just blow up 3 times more than the other Kep1er members. And not only she's the most popular member, she's also the most hated member. And you would probably think well, if more people know about her, more people hate her. That's just the way famous people are. But that's actually not the case for her. She actually has been receiving hate since day one, and the hate that she gets is actually pretty big. I want to talk about all of that. It's just a mess. I also need to clarify that I'm gonna try to be as raw and unbiased as possible. I do want to clarify that I'm not a Huening Bahiyyih stan, and I'm also not a hater of hers. I don't hate her, I don't love her. I did watch Girls Planet 999, which is the show that she came out of, every week, and she was never one of my top picks. I never actually took my phone out and voted for her. I did vote for a lot of other girls, not because I hate Huening Bahiyyih, but I do think I need to clarify that I never particularly voted for her. Again, don't love her, don't hate her, just wanted to throw that in. This is quite of a subjective video. This is my point of view on why I think she gets all the hate that she gets, and I just want to mention that straight right off the bat, I don't think she deserves all the hate that she gets, but I know for a fact that her fans are really adamant about how they feel about her, and they think she's the most talented person, the next Beyonce, the Beyonce of K-pop, and some people are just think she's just untalented and she shouldn't even be a member of Kep1er. And I just want to try to see both sides of the argument today, because all I see is videos on YouTube shorts that are reasons why people hate Huening Bahiyyih, and they'll be oh, the people hate her because she's related to Hyunin Kai, or people hate her because she's pretty. And maybe some people do, but I genuinely think that's just kind of scratching the surface of the actual problem, because yes, there's a problem, and I think step number one is addressing that there is a problem, and we just need to talk about it. And that's what I'm going to be doing here for a long time, since I mentioned that this is going to be a personal video, or a personal point of view, which is very subjective. I also think I need to point out whenever I'm going to be more objective. Subjective is whenever it's more your point of view towards something, and objective is when something is actually good or bad or better than something else, if that makes any sense. I'll put the definitions over here, but I will make sure that if I'm saying something that I consider it's more objective, you will know, so don't worry about it. But now, before we begin, I need to explain who is Huening Bahiyyih. And if you clicked on this video, there's a big chance that you know who she is already, but just in case you don't know who she is and you just happen to click on this video just to learn, that's awesome, because that's what we're going to be doing today. So who is Huening Bahiyyih? She is a K-pop idol. She's currently under the girl group Kep1er that came out of the show Girls Planet 999, and they're pretty good. Solid girl group, I would say. I like them. Not a big stan, but I like what they're doing. We'll be talking about the show a lot, because I do think that for the people that watch the whole show, every single stage of the show, not only the auditions or the ending, that's where a lot of her haters actually came out, and I do want to tackle that. She was born on July 27th on 2004. She's 17 years old as of the recording of this video, but probably by the time I post it, she's gonna be 18, because we are currently on July 23rd. So yeah, her birthday is a couple days away from now. But anyway, she's the little sister of Hyunin Kai, who is already a solid K-pop idol in the industry, very famous, and a lot of people say that the hate that she gets is because of him, but we're not there yet. Her dad was Nabel David Huening, and he is a Brazilian American singer. He was born in Brazil, and then he lived in America for the majority of his life, so he basically did middle school, high school, and university here. So basically, he graduated from the University of Texas, and then right after he moved to China. And in China, he was trying to have basically like his music career all over there, and I think he did pretty well. I actually cannot really find like most of his like albums or works, but I keep seeing and reading that he had a pretty successful music career in China. I'm not sure exactly when he moved out of China, but I know that he was living in Korea for a while, and he also bought a house in Hawaii over here in the United States, and that's where he actually had Huening Kai. But Huening Bahiyyih was born here in Korea. I don't live in Korea. I don't know why I said here in Korea. But yeah, it's interesting. I actually think he was like all over the place. Moving on, Miss Girl is currently being managed by Wake One Entertainment along with the other members of Kep1er, and she's obviously more commonly known for being a participant of Girls Planet 99, winning second place, making it to debuting, of course, and also a lot of people know her as Huening Kai's little sister. So that's like the main thing that we all need to know. On that note, I do have to say that I love Huening Kai. I'm not a Huening Kai hater at all. I've been a fan of him since debut, and I'm a little biased towards him, but that doesn't necessarily mean I love his sister. I love him, but I think a lot of people that are really into him automatically like Huening Bahiyyih for that correlation, but that doesn't really get to me. Just trust me, but just know that I think Huening Kai is amazing, and I have a picture of him on my phone, like right above a picture of my boyfriend. Okay, so what happened in Girls Planet 99? So when the show gets announced, people are a little like hesitant to trust or even understand why Mnet is hosting another survival show, because they have made pretty successful survival shows back to back, but then they got into like a big scandal whenever it was revealed that they were rigging the votes. So they already chose which contestants were going to make it to debut before everybody else knew, and people were voting and spending money on votes whenever they, already chose the contestants. So nobody really know who allowed them to make another survival show, but I know and you know that everybody was going to watch it regardless, because they're always really good and there's a lot of talent in those shows. They did say that we had to trust them this time because they are not going to be in control of votes, so they were going to do the show, and then the voting system was going to be controlled by a third-party app that has like not a lot to do with them, named Universe. So instead of voting on the Mnet website, you vote through the Universe app. That way you cannot really blame them if there's any vote manipulation. But yeah, a news article on July 2nd of 2021 came out and showed the contestants that allegedly would be on the show, and to everybody's surprise, Huening Kai's little sister, or Huening Bahiyyih, was in the article. So people were really excited, and everybody was like, oh my god, like his sister is gonna be on the show allegedly. And the thing is, like, K-pop stans really like siblings whenever it comes to like seeing idols in the industry. Like, what I think of it right now is the Che sisters from ITZY and IZ*ONE, like Chaeryeon and Chaeyeon. I think that's how you pronounce their names, sorry, but I love them. They're super talented. They're probably like some of the best dancers out here. Everybody likes whenever you see people that are related being successful in the industry, so that I think that's what they were expecting from Huening Bahiyyih, because they know Huening Kai is really talented. They know he's beautiful and talented and a great dancer and visual, great facial expressions, so they probably expected that from her. Okay, so the individual auditions of Girls Planet 99 were actually posted like a couple weeks ago, actually, since they're gonna do a second season of the show, but for boys, very appropriately titled Boys Planet 99. The Mnet decided to post the individual auditions to the producers of the members that ended up debuting in Kep1er. So you see 9 of the girls actually auditioning in front of the producers, and Huening Bahiyyih was there, obviously, and she basically did Birthday by Somi. She did pretty okay, actually. She had like good facial expressions. Her dancing wasn't like very sharp. Like, you can tell that she never really received professional K-pop idol training, and that's whatever. She did pretty good. She was cheery, she was bubbly. I think the producers liked it enough to actually put her on the show. I am gonna mention that for her talent part, or they asked her basically if she wanted to showcase like something funny, like a quirky talent, and she did this. Go off, like literally queen and a half. So the show officially aired on August 6th of 2021, And right off the bat, everybody was seeing like a lot of good auditions, a lot of rough auditions, a little bit of everything basically. Huening Bahiyyih's audition actually didn't happen until the next episode, the next week, which would be on August 13th when she officially made her debut auditioning for the show basically. And her team, her audition was objectively in the not so good audition, especially compared to the other ones that we saw in the first episode, and let me explain why. So they start performing Mr. Chu by Apink. They're all wearing yellow, they look adorable, it's a really cute song, it's a really iconic song to be honest. And even though it wasn't terrible, it wasn't the worst audition ever, it wasn't pretty good. Out of the 4 or 5 girls that were auditioning there, only 2 were like decent vocalists or like stable in my opinion, and those being Huening Bahiyyih and Lee Hyo-won. And that's only for the first part of the song, because the longer they actually sang, the worse their vocals started to sound. And I think they also lost a little bit of confidence, they lost the energy, but overall they did okay. It wasn't what everybody wanted to see. They needed some more energy. I think one of the judges actually said that Mr. Chu needs, it's all about cute, it's all about energy, and that's what they were lacking. I personally like facial expressions, I love seeing stage presence, and the cute factor of the song was not there. I agree with the judges actually. So there wasn't any top 9 candidates from this performance, and now let me explain how the auditions work really quick. So basically in Girls Planet 99, since there's like almost 100 girls performing in the auditions, they need to kind of sort them out, but since they didn't want to do the whole produce 101 thing of labeling them in A, B, C, D, and E, and F, I think, they decided to do top 9 candidates. So basically if you perform, if the judges think you are really, really good, they will give you a sticker that says that you're a candidate for being part of the top 9. But if you didn't do as good, then they just wouldn't give you any stickers and you're just not a candidate for top 9. This doesn't mean that you're going to be in the top 9, but you're a candidate. You will be considered to be considered one of the tops basically. And yeah, sadly her group didn't get any stickers. However, even though nobody in the group got a top 9 candidate sticker, Huening Bahiyyih actually ended up getting a good chunk of screen time for the second episode of the show, because right off the bat, like right after they're done performing, Sunmi, who is a K-pop idol, like very well known, she was a judge on the show, and the name Huening Bahiyyih kind of rings a bell to her, and she's kind of like, Huening Bahiyyih, like, do you happen to be related to Huening Kai? And Huening Bahiyyih obviously responds, that's right, you know? And everybody's kind of like, oh my god, like I cannot believe it, like that's so cool, like I'm jealous or whatever, because I mean same, even though I probably wouldn't want to be his sibling. She immediately got clout. I don't think she was clout chasing, but I think the producers probably told Sunmi to ask if Sunmi just didn't think about it herself. But anyways, I think that was very planned. And then they proceeded to show a FaceTime call between Huening Bahiyyih and Huening Kai, wherever Huening Kai is like giving her some support and some words of like advice and being like, you know, you're do good, work on your facial expressions. And Huening Bahiyyih is like, yeah, I'm working on my facial expressions, that's what I do best, I think. And I kind of disagree, but anyways, the problem was seen very early because people immediately accused her of trying to feed off her brother's success. So basically they were like, well, she's just trying to use her brother for clout, like she doesn't really have enough to stand by herself, she needs to bring up the fact that she's related to him. But I would actually disagree. I think that if Sunmi wouldn't have asked her, she wouldn't have said it, like genuinely. I think the producers may have forced her to at one point. You cannot really prove this is like subjective, but I think she was trying to shine by herself. I don't think she was like, Huening Kai is my brother, you know. I don't think she did never give off that vibe. I think that she was planning to keep it like quiet or a secret for the entirety of the show. But I mean, we'll never know. The damage was done already because now the contestants were gonna see her a little differently because they know that she is related to somebody that's big in the industry, you know. So that immediately changes a little bit the way anything works. But anyways, now even though this video is about Huening Bahiyyih, I do want to compare and contrast some of the other Kep1er member auditions that ended up debuting, of course, because I think it's important for everybody to see the bigger picture so we understand like where she stands, or at least where she stood in the very first episode when it comes to talent. Because I don't know, I just think it's important, because if you think that, yeah, maybe she wasn't that good, but maybe the other Kep1er members weren't that good either, like it's kind of like, it just gives you a blurry idea of the whole situation. So I do want to like talk about the other auditions. And I will go in order of the final results, so basically from 9th place to 8th, 7th, and so on. Okay, so we're gonna start on with 9th place, which is Shen XiaoTing. She had no reason to be 9th place. This girl needed to win the whole thing. But anyways, she ended up 9th because she's Chinese. And her group was actually the very first one to audition, and they performed Rumor by one of the groups in Produce 48, which is one of the other Mnet survival shows where Is One came out of. Right off the bat, we can start seeing some of the Kep1er member skills. After the audition, she performed a little bit of like her own dancing. She's a professional ballroom dancer. You know, she's won many tournaments in China and all over the world, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, in my opinion, her group wasn't the most stable. It wasn't a horrible audition, but it was only because she was there. I think her and somebody else kind of like made up for the other members that weren't as good. But even though the singing wasn't there, as soon as Shen XiaoTing started rapping and dancing on like her parts, everybody was like shocked. And the whole like place was like, oh my god, like we need to start paying attention to this girl. If I were to rank the performances, wait, actually, I am gonna rank the performances because this is my video and these are my rules. Individually, I will give Shen XiaoTing like an 8.5 out of 10, and her group more like a 5 out of 10. But she did end up getting like a sticker of a top 9 candidate. So yeah, she did great. She did great. Okay, next we have Sakamoto Mashiro. She ended up placing 8th on the show, and her audition, oh my god. When I'm telling you that I think about her audition every single day, I mean it. Not because she was the best, but because, I mean, that's what I want to see in an audition, you know, like they did Dum Dee Dum Dee, which is a song by Idol. And that's a really hard song to like perform with because it's just very happy, it's very fast, it's full of energy. Trust me, like they delivered. Like I don't know if you saw it. These girls were singing and dancing their asses off. Like rent was due. Like to me, that's stable. Just look at them go. They were impressive. Like in my opinion, they were like super stable. A lot of people want to say that if they sound good while they sing, that means they are stable. But in my opinion, someone who is stable like when they're dancing and singing as a K-pop idol, it's because they're doing like crazy choreography, really energetic, and they still sound good. Like they don't sound shaky. Can you do that? Because I literally cannot do that. But anyways, on a side note, I think Nagumi was the MVP of this performance. Sakamoto Mashiro was the one that ended up making it to the team, but I personally like Nagumi a little more. I just felt like she was smiling more, she was bringing a lot of more energy to the song, and Sakamoto Mashiro felt like a little more classier, a little more elegant, and I think Dum Dee Dum Dee fits Nagumi a little better than Mashiro, but you know, Mashiro is just more popular overall, so she ended up taking all the hype. But yeah, 10 out of 10 individually and 10 out of 10 for the group. Okay, so for 7th place, we have Esaki Hikaru, who I really liked, and she's worldwide famous. Everybody loves Hikaru, okay? She is my bestie's bias in Kep1er, and I mean, she also slayed. Not a lot of people can claim to go on a Mnet show and make K-pop history just right off the bat from her audition. I think whenever she did Boombayah by Blackpink, which is an amazing song, her and Shana carried the whole group. I mean, the whole entire group was great. They have chemistry, they were dancing, they were singing, they were doing great, they had a lot of energy, but there's not a lot to say about it. They were just that good. I mean, whenever she did the Rambo, like, that's K-pop history right there. Like, the last time an Mnet show audition made me go like, okay, yeah, she's gonna be huge, is whenever Chungha was in Produce 101 in the very first season, and then she was like dancing to Beyonce because the judges wanted to see her dance a little more, and they improvised a song and then she danced to it. Give me some! And then that was like everywhere, and that blew up. Hikaru blew up just like that, like her Boombayah part like just went nuts. And yeah, 10 out of 10 all the way. She killed it, Shana killed it, and the whole group killed it, honestly. Yeah. Okay, next we have Kang Yeso, and she did pretty good, honestly. She was very energetic. Her group, I think they were like the youngest kids of the entire show. I think they were all along like 15, 16, 14 years old, and they did Crazy by 4 Minute, which is a wild song. And it's just full of energy. It's very like, it gives off like bad bitch energy. So the fact that these like little cute like little girls were like dancing, it was just really funny, and everybody loved it. The crowd loved them, the judges loved them, I loved them. And I honestly would like to say that Yeso took like the crown and she was the MVP of the whole performance, but that would be a lie. I think all of them did really, really, really good. Yeso did in fact bring up like a little more energy and attitude. I think her facial expressions were more like on point than the other girls, because that's her strength. I feel like she really embodies the songs that she's singing. If the song is called Crazy, she's gonna go crazy. That's just the way she is. Anyways, she gets better and better throughout the show. I never particularly voted for her because I just didn't have that many votes, okay? Like, we have a limit. But yeah, no, 10 out of 10 all around. She was great. So next, ending up in 5th place of the show, we have So Young-eun. And she performed Kick It by NCT. And even though I don't particularly like the song, this was probably one of my favorite auditions of the whole show, if not my favorite. I mean, she did so good. Whenever I saw her dancing and rapping and like moving, she like got on the floor during the dance break. Like, she was great. Like, and her vocals were super stable, and then she was like really bubbly and cheery after the performance. She like became a beast.
에너자이자 18살 서영은입니다.
You know, like, it was crazy. Like, I don't know, it's just like you just had to be there. And actually, if you're watching me through the computer, just pause this video, open another tab, watch that performance, and then just like thank me later, because there's no ways to describe how good they did. They were stable, they danced excellent. I think they were probably like the best dancers throughout the auditions, honestly, both of them. And yeah, no, 10 out of 10. In 4th place, we have Kim Daeon, and she was excellent, honestly. Her group did that one KDA song, Pop Stars, I think. And they slayed, honestly. Even though I could personally not take my eyes off Billie Soo-yeon, she was, in my opinion, the MVP of the whole performance. I literally kept voting for her all the way through the show, and she did not make it into the team, which is kind of sad, but kind of not, because she ended up in Billie, and I love Billie. This is not about Soo-yeon. I'm sorry, but yeah, this is about Daeon. And she did also really, really good. All of them did really, really good. And Daeon, whenever she jumped in and started like rapping, and I think that was really, really good. Like, she kept it really consistent. Like, she had the energy, she had the facial expressions, she had the dance moves. She was probably one of the best dancers as well. and she just did great. Sadly, for whatever reason, the judges decided not to give her like a top 9 candidate sticker, because of whatever reason. They didn't really explain themselves that well. They were just like, no. And before that, in the individual auditions that we didn't get to see, they were all ranked as like, you know, out of the Chinese members, you are the first, or in the case of Shen XiaoTing, or in the Japanese members, out of all of them, you are like the best out of all the Japanese contestants in the case of Hikaru. And Daeyeon was the one that did the best in the Korean auditions. She was like K1, and she was the only one out of the 3 that didn't get a top 9 candidate pass. And this girl could not shut up about it for the longest time. Like, she kept going at it like, oh, like, I am so sad and I'm so depressed because like I am K1 and I'm supposed to be the best one of the K girls and I didn't get a top 9 candidate pass. Like, what's wrong, you know? They actually did explain it later. I think during one of like the intermission practices of like one song, the judges are like, you know, talking to them, and they tell Daeyeon, they were like, hey, do you want to know why we didn't give you a pass even though you did really, really good? And she's like, oh yeah, sure, like, why didn't you give me a pass? Like, do you hate me? Like, am I ugly or what's up? And they're like, well, we thought that you were just so good that you didn't need the top 9 sticker because we thought that you were gonna get there eventually, and we just didn't want to let it go get on your head, basically. Which is just, it makes no sense to me. That's so questionable. Like, you made this girl depressed just because you thought she was that good, and she wasn't even like the best audition. Like, you would think that with that mentality she was like the best person ever, but in my opinion, I don't think she was like the best. Not even the best performer in that performance. But anyways,
You know I react. I'm a picture perfect face with the words in the face. You can hear it in my girl.
shame on the judges. 10 out of 10 regardless though. 10 out of 10 for the group, 10 out of 10 for her. Okay, so now for the top 3, we have no one else other than Queen Elizabeth III, aka Eugene, former member of CLC. Now, her audition, how can I describe her audition? So it made me really emotional watching the show, not gonna lie, because she was very like happy, fun, filled with energy. She did pretty good. It's basically what I want to see in an audition, even though for her being like a well-respected veteran K-pop idol, that didn't really show up in the audition. I don't think she proved her talent with the audition, but I don't think that's what she wanted. Like, I was expecting perfection, but she didn't want to give me that. You want to know what? I'm glad, because she said that all she really wanted to do with her audition was just have fun. Like, she literally took her shoes off.
왜 자꾸 그래 너 나를 못 믿니 너에게 나를 맞추지 마 너에게 나를 맞추지 마 나에게 더 바라지 마 거품처럼 커진 맘을
It was really happy, you know? I just thought that was like excellent. She was actually going through such a rough time throughout the whole show. Like, we learned from her watching Girls Planet 99 that CLC was disbanding.
정말 열심히 했거든요. 사실 컨셉도 센 컨셉을 하다 보니까 저는 내가 안 보이는 게 느껴지는 거예요. 그냥 하면서
Cube Entertainment didn't really say anything. They just never gave them another like comeback. Then she told us that she was in the show because CLC was disbanding, and she didn't want to give up on her dream of being a K-pop idol because she loves it. And it's just really sad. Like, honestly, ugh, fuck Cube. But yeah, no, she did a rendition of Bubble Pop by Hyuna, and she did well. And you just cannot watch that audition and just be sad, you know? Like, she just transfers her energy and her happiness into you, and that's all she wanted. And everybody loved her charisma, and she got a top 9 sticker for the top 9 candidate, and I think it was very well deserved.
합격입니다. 축하드립니다.
감사합니다.
그리고 정말 올 패스로 너무 감동.
애래요. 애래요.
I loved her, and yeah, it just, I need a crying pause because it's just really sad. Like, trust me, this girl gave her entire life to CLC, and they just treated them like hot. Like, Cube Entertainment couldn't care less about her. But anyways, moving on, because this is about Huening Bahiyyih, we have to jump a spot actually, because this is third, Huening Bahiyyih actually ended second. So now we have to talk about the actual winner of the whole show, which ironically is my top pick in the whole show. Like, this is my bias from Kep1er, but I actually wasn't expecting her to like win the entire thing, you know. We have Kim Chae-hyun, basically. So her group performed aespa's Black Mamba, a really tough song to sing live. Like, I don't even think aespa can sing that song live all the time. They barely do it. Like 90% of the time, if you see aespa performing Black Mamba, it's gonna be like lip synced. So it's tough, you know. There's this part of the choreography that everybody titled like the spider move, when they just like basically get on the floor and they're like, but like, if you know what I'm talking about, like if you know, you know, basically. And honestly, they were pretty stable. Chae-hyun was probably like the best singer in the audition, but I wasn't really focused on her at the time. Like, her audition wasn't the thing that made me fall in love with her. I was more focused on the other two until, oh my god, listen to this shit. So basically, whenever she was performing, she had Ning Ning's part of the song where she did the high note, which is really difficult, and she had a little voice crack, okay, like a tiny little itty bitty voice crack. But then the producers of the show, they probably hate her for some reason, so they grab the voice crack, they slow it down for like a millisecond, so it sounds like it's a longer voice crack than what it really was. Then they played it again, then they showed the judges' reaction to the voice crack, and then they played it again. So they played it like twice. And I don't know, like, it was not that bad, but the show made it look horrible because they kept playing it over and over. I'm literally just gonna call the police. Like, that is so disrespectful. Like, what did she do? Like, Chae-hyun, if you're seeing this video, like, what did you do to the producers for them to hate you that much? Because that was messed up. Anyways, the performance was really fun. They did pretty good. I would give them an 8 out of 10, and Chae-hyun specifically like a 7 out of 10. The top two was, of course, Huening Bahiyyih, and you, now that you know, you can be like, well, wasn't her audition kind of mid compared to the other Kep1er members? Yes, you're right in that. And that obviously makes you think like, well, that means throughout the show she improved a lot. And yes, you would also be right, but even though she improved a lot throughout the entire show, I don't think that like guarantees her the second place. Like, that was a really high ranking that she ended up winning with, and a lot of people like thought that was way too high. Like, that was a big controversy because a lot of people were saying that she didn't deserve to be second place. She wasn't as talented as Dion or as popular as Eugene. And other people were saying that she shouldn't have made it to the team at all. Not only that she should have been like placed like 9th or 8th, but that she shouldn't be in Kep1er, that she should have been eliminated. Other people, mainly her fans and just like casuals, were saying that she should have actually won the entire thing, and they were really upset that she ended up second and Chae-hyun was first, which actually made a lot of people hate Chae-hyun. Yeah, no, like, that's basically all that happened in like the round of auditions. I do encourage you to go watch all the 9 auditions yourself, so you can have like, I guess, your own idea and your own opinion about all of these auditions, because all of this was very like objective and like my opinion about all of the auditions. Okay, so now that the auditions are over, the judges pick the actual top 9 and who ends up winning the round of auditions, and the actual winner was Esaki Hikaru from J Group, and I think that's very well deserved. Honestly, she did good. Boombayah, Blackpink. And now I do have to explain a little bit of how the show works. So for Girls Planet 999, the whole premise of the show is segregation, kind of. There's girls from the C group, K group, and J group, you know, China, Korea, and Japan in that order, and the whole idea is that they're very different, but at the same time they're not. So the producers made sure that even though there's a language barrier, that in each cell, which is the union of a Korean, Chinese, and Japanese girl in a 3-member group that they have over here, they have something in common.
So if a Chinese girl and a Japanese girl and a Korean girl, they all like twice and their bias is Nayeon, then the producer is like, okay, you 3 are gonna be a group, you all have the cell, and the things that you have in common is that you all like Nayeon from twice.
And basically, these cells have to compete in this little like mini game that they have before the first round actually starts, which is they go up to a room and they have to find baby pictures of their cellmates. That sounds like jail. And come back down and like, you know, verify that their cellmate is the actual baby on the picture, and if they win, they basically won the minigame, and then they'll get a benefit for the actual first round of the competition. That was a little over explanation, but the first round actually started by the host of the show explaining that the groups of 9 contestants would compete against each other by performing the next songs, which would be number 1, How You Like That by Blackpink, Fiesta by IZ*ONE, The 5th Season by Oh My Girl, Yes or Yes by Twice, The Eve by EXO, Mic Drop by BTS, and Pretty You by 17. The cell winners basically become like captains, and they have to pick one by one like what members they want on their teams, kind of like whenever you were in middle school and you're the captain of the group, so you got to pick like who you want on your team one by one, and obviously you're gonna grab first whoever you actually want on your team, you know, the stronger competitors, right? And the ones that you don't particularly want on your team, they will actually end up being picked last. That's kind of how it worked, you know, you pick one and then they pick one until there's nobody else to pick, basically. And the way this round works is that all the girl group songs, like How You Like That, The 5th Season, Fiesta, and Yes or Yes, have to be performed twice. 18 girls performing Fiesta, 18 girls performing How You Like That, 18 girls performing this, and there will be like 2 performances of each, separated in team 1 and 2. So basically, if you had 2 teams performing Yes or Yes, it will be Yes or Yes team 1 and Yes or Yes team 2. 9 girls in each team, basically. The last song that ended up like as a leftover song was Fiesta by IZ*ONE, which honestly understandable to me. If IZ*ONE did the song, only IZ*ONE can really do the song. It's a very challenging song to sing, like mainly because of the choreography and because IZ*ONE has a lot of like good vocalists, I think. And I actually do understand why everybody felt kind of threatened by Fiesta. But now, out of the contestants that were picked last, Is Huening Bahiyyih was included in there. Like, so basically she had to be in a group with all the other 8 contestants that just weren't picked. So all of those leftover, that sounds really bad, but the leftover girls made a 9-member group and ended up performing the leftover song, which is Fiesta. And this obviously didn't really sit well with Bahiyyih. Later in one of those like individual interviews of the show, you know, when they have reality shows and they do like individual interviews, she said, I wasn't expecting to be picked fast, but I also wasn't expecting to be like last. And then she started crying. And like, you're crying, I'm not crying. But anyways, I just felt so sad seeing this, because it made just 0 sense. Like, yes, she wasn't like the most talented in the whole crowd, but she wasn't the worst. Like, I genuinely think like people should have picked her. Like, she's really pretty, and you know, she had clout. Like, I don't know if they were just intimidated by the fact that she's related to Hiyyih Kai or something, but yeah, in my opinion, these girls are not stupid. Like, they should have picked her. Maybe the producers had something to do with it, but yeah, I felt really bad. And I feel like in this moment people gain a little bit of empathy towards Is Huening Bahiyyih, because nobody really wants to see her lose that bad yet. You know, this is like only the 2nd episode, and yeah, I felt really bad personally, and a lot of people did too. And again, if you have any theories of why you think she didn't get picked, you can let me know in the comments, because you can maybe think like, well, maybe some of the girls didn't pick according to like talent, and maybe they just picked depending on who they like better or who they actually want to be like friends with or whatever, and maybe she just didn't manage to make any friends at that time. But I mean, I find it really hard to believe because she has a really lovable personality, or at least on camera she seems really friendly and a little shy. It's just like confusing. I don't know. The actual performances happen in both August 20th and 27th, and Huening Bahiyyih performed in Fiesta Team number 2.
세계 꽃을 피우고 꽃가루가 날리면 축제는 절정인 걸 끝나지 않을 이런 클라이맥스에
And you could immediately see improvements, honestly. Like, she was much more energetic, she seemed focused, less nervous, less stiff. Her facial expressions, at least, like, got a little better. And this is only like 2 weeks after the auditions. She just seemed more confident overall. And I still don't think it was anything breathtaking, but she did do a lot better in the first round that she did in the official editions of the show. Sadly, they didn't end up winning. The other team won, like Fiesta Team number 1 won, and then Fiesta Team number 1 didn't even win the whole round. I think the Yes or Yes Team number 1 ended up winning, which is the team with Chaehyun was, and again, super deserved. Not too good for Huening Bahiyyih. She was not in the right team, I guess. Okay, now, so for the next round, which will be the combination mission, the girls were handed like a couple songs by the producers, and each song showcases a different like strength, basically. So some songs were more about the singing, some songs were more about rapping, some songs were more about dancing. Each girl will basically just pick the song depending on whatever they wanted to like showcase to the world, you know, whatever they're stronger at, that's where you will go. So with some exceptions, for example, Bora, who's one of the contestants, she was better at singing according to her, but she felt like everybody knew that she was a good singer, so she wanted to showcase her rapping abilities to kind of like be like more versatile and appeal to like more people, which I think is very smart. But Huening Bahiyyih, I don't know exactly why she decided to go for the dancing category. I don't know if she felt like she's a better dancer than she is a singer, or simply because with the same mentality as Bora that she already knows that she's a good singer, so she wanted to explore more into her dancing skills, which I honestly thought it was a very, very good move on her part, because she ended up actually participating with the forever famous Ice Cream Team, which is an excellent song in my opinion by Blackpink and Selena Gomez. A lot of people hate this song, but this performance went viral. When I'm telling you, like, everybody was talking about this performance, and everybody was like literally making like Twitter accounts like titled like the Ice Cream Team should win this whole round, basically. She had the Jenny part when she said, whenever she says bite me, she does this little like girl thing, and oh my god, people like grab this thing and they put it all over like social media. Like, I could see this fan cam, like those 5 seconds of the fan cam, all over my TikTok, and like I will scroll down and I'll be seeing Huening Bahiyyih going like this, and people going like, oh my god, she is stage presence. Like, Huening Bahiyyih right here is the epitome of talent, and I particularly didn't agree with it, but I could see where their fans were coming out with this, because of course this is the best that she was done, and this is like big jump of like confidence, so I can understand why they were like, see, this is the best. But I don't think it was that good either. It was like 8 seconds of her slaying for sure. Her fans basically took those 8 seconds of her performance to kind of like throw at the haters, to be like, see, she can dance. And I thought that was really funny. A lot of people want to credit Daeyeon actually, because she was the leader and the choreographer and director of the whole performance, which, oh my gosh, she got a lot of credit. But obviously, since she choreographed everything, she was not gonna let Huening Bahiyyih like outdo her in her own like performance. She actually ended up being the MVP of the Ice Cream Team, or like, I guess the person that shines a little brighter than the other ones. But this is because like girl gave herself like a whole dance break, like a solo dance break. I don't even know if that was allowed. But she just kills it, of course. And yeah, the judges loved her, and they gave her like infinite praise for her like handling and like leadership skills. And this actually became like a big controversy. Let me tell you something actually. During the final episodes, people started noticing that Daeyeon was getting a lot of like screen time more than other girls, because a lot of, I mean, there's 99 girls in the show. Like, it's really hard to give screen time to like every single girl evenly, especially because not all the girls are gonna be like as interesting. But Daeyeon was getting a lot of screen times. Like, this girls on the show could barely get a couple minutes of airtime, and Daeyeon was given like character arcs. She was like the underdog who was like actually the best one but didn't get a top 9 candidate, and then she's like an amazing leader. The point is, the producers could not get enough of Kim Daeyeon, and basically, and even though the ice cream team ended up not winning the round, all the groups did really well. So I'm not even gonna like pretend like, oh, they should have won. Any group deserved the victory there. Everybody did great. The producers just couldn't get enough of her, and that is something that you need to remember. And I'm saying that you need to remember this because you're gonna think I'm being delusional because of what happens on episode 9, but just hear me out. But I mean, before I explain episode 9, I need to explain how the creation mission, which is the next round, works. So basically, even though it's my favorite round, by the way, it's a little iffy, because for the creation mission, the remaining girls that weren't eliminated until this point had to like make their own songs. Actually, no, like the producers made the songs and then they sorted them out into like whatever group they thought they fit better. So for example, if the producers thought you were a really strong vocalist, they will send you to the song Utopia, which is a very like vocal heavy song. And that's basically how it worked. Like, for example, like the Snake team is Snake. It's a song, it's a little seductive. It's kind of like, I don't know, picture a snake, make it a song, make it a K-pop song, and that's what you get basically. The best dancers were in Snake team. Hopefully that helps. Now for the cutesy vibe, you know, K-pop has a bubble cutesy side, of course, that I love. We had Shoot. Now for You Plus Me Equals Love, it was more like a girl teen crush type of song. I don't know the criteria for the girls to like get into this song, to be honest with you, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. They ended up winning and the song slaps, so we are good. It's a side activity before the competition to kind of get the mood a little brighter so the girls are not super stressed. They had this little thing where they were taking into like 4 different trips. So for example, the Snake team will go one place, You Plus Me Equals Love will go to a different place, and they were taken into 4 different like mystery buses basically, and they were told like, hey, like these 4 buses are gonna take you to a secret location, so you pick one of them and just luck would decide your fate basically. It's really funny because the Utopia team drove them to like a little hiking thing, and then after the hike they ended up in the top of a hill where they literally went paragliding, and that is so fun. Like literally I saw like Chaehyun like over here like in the air like flying in this beautiful like landscape. I thought that was super cool and super fun. The You Plus Me Equals Love team, in my opinion, got the best trip because first they got a massage, like a professional massage, and then they were sent to the Lodi World Tower. I don't know how to pronounce it actually, but they ate at a super fancy restaurant in there, and they had like steak and whatever. And then they later performed the You Plus Me Equals Love song at the 118th floor of the building. Let that sink in. That is so cool. The Snake team, this is not funny by the way. This is like super not funny, but they were sent to a farm in like a rural town basically. and they have to help this like family of farmers with his like crops, I guess. And then they perform like the song Snake in like for the farm people in the village. Not funny, but they were like, I don't know, I just feel like while they were like sweating their asses off harvesting like sweet potatoes and shit, the You Plus Me Equals Love calls them and starts FaceTiming them or whatever, and then they're like, hey, we're like here eating some steak, what are you doing? And they're like, we are like doing labor.
무슨 쇼핑몰이야? 쇼핑몰? 쇼핑? 미тай 나이스 어디예요? 맞어? 안녕. 어디야?
Like, that's not fair at all, and jail to the producers for that. Now listen to this shit. Like, listen to this shit. The shoot team was sent to like an apartment complex or whatever, and then this lady like opens the door and they're like, oh, like we have no idea what this is. It was kind of awkward at first. And then the lady's like, do you know who I am? And the girls are like pretty respectful. They're like, no, we have like no idea who you are. We have no idea why we're here. And this lady turned out to be no one other than Dion's mom. And the activity that they were supposed to do was go to Dion's house, go to her room, and write her support letters. Make that make sense. So like, you're telling me that the producers like figured this whole thing out with Dion's mom for her house to be on the show. Does that sound like fair? Because like, I don't know if I'm the only one that thinks this makes no sense, but a lot of people let that slide really fast, and I'm just kind of like, they went to her house. And I mean, nothing against her, because I think she's really pretty and really talented, and she did excellent all throughout the show. But that was really sketchy. I don't know. Sketchy as hell. If you don't see favoritism, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't know what to tell you. But then afterwards, they went to like her family's sushi restaurant and they ate, which, I mean, good for them. Get some food. I love sushi. Now for the creation mission, sadly, shoot team didn't win. This is the team where Is Huening Bahiyyih was a part of, you know, the more cutesy vibe team. And I mean, they were good, to be honest, but I don't think Is Huening Bahiyyih was like at her peak. I think she did better in the previous round with ice cream. I'm not entirely sure why, but she seemed a little bored. Like, her facial expressions were off. The energy wasn't there again. I don't know exactly what happened. I don't know if she just didn't like the song, or she wasn't as comfortable. But whenever I saw her performing on the show, it wasn't that good. But then when I was researching for this video, I saw like another version of them where she's performing without the little like bucket hat that she had, and she actually does way better. So maybe she just doesn't like bucket hats. Like, don't put Is Huening Bahiyyih on a bucket hat because she's not gonna do as well. Maybe it's that simple. But please don't quote me on that. I'm just like joking. I'll put like a little bit of her on like the shoot performance where she doesn't have the bucket hat, and see if you can like compare it for yourself. For now, all of that we've seen of Is Huening Bahiyyih has been like losing on the show, and she also doesn't have a lot of screen time. And when she does have screen time, is usually because of her brother first, and then she's getting screen time because she gets picked up last, and then she's getting screen time because she's being led by Dion, and then she goes to Dion's house and writes like support letters for her. So basically all that we're seeing on the show of her is not really making her shine. Like, she didn't do as well in the audition. Her Fiesta team didn't win the first round, the ice cream team didn't win the second round, and now the shoot team didn't win the third round. So, you know, obviously it's not looking that well for her when it comes to voting and how the show works, basically. But everything will change in the next round. The next round actually is gonna be 100% like decided by the audience. So basically, whoever is most popular or whoever gets most views on the next part of the competition basically will win. Like the judges have nothing to do with it and the producers have nothing to do with it. So it's literally whoever gets most views basically, which is what Huening Bahiyyih actually has going for her, because yes, throughout the competition she's not doing excellent, but people really like her. Like she's really popular. People have her fan cams everywhere because she has a lot of fans, because she's really pretty and she's related to Huening Kai, and people have empathy for her. There's a lot of things going for her when it comes to popularity. Like you need balance between talent and like someone who stands out, you know. For example, like in IVE they have Wonyoung, and Wonyoung is like the main person attracting people to IVE. And yeah, she's also really talented, by the way. Sadly, that's kind of how the industry works. If you are the center of a group or you are the most popular member of the group, it doesn't matter how talented you are, but you are going to get more brand deals. Your brand reputation is going to be higher than the other person's. That's just the way it works, sadly. And in this part of the competitions, they had to perform OOO, which is not O.O. No. God. They have to perform OOO. It's over and over and over. Is the signal song of the show, which the signal song of the show is basically the song that you're gonna hear playing over and over and over after the ending of every episode basically. And these girls have performed this song so often throughout the show. Like they performed it at the very beginning, they performed it in almost every episode. These girls hear the song all the time playing while they're on the show, so they should be able to have this memorized. Like all of these girls should be able to perform this song while they are asleep. So yeah, like everything is looking great for Huening Bahiyyih at this point. And as you may imagine, she ended up winning really easily. Like her fan cam of the song blew up again. She did pretty good. Like again, I'm not gonna pretend like, oh, she like did so good. Not everybody did good. Like they memorized the song, they had the most practice with this song, so it's like this song was a given. Like they had to do good. This is more about popularity rather than talent, but she did do really good. I do have to put emphasis in that. And yeah, now that she won, you would think she would be closer to making it to the debut line basically. But after the show, they basically did like the mid rankings, so the girls kind of know where they are. So if you are in the top from 1 to 9, that means if you keep it there, you are going to make it to debut. After that, Huening Bahiyyih still didn't make it to the top 9. She was still like in 11th place, I guess. I mean, she still didn't rank top 9 in the interim rankings. Here's where the controversy actually happens. Like we are getting close to the finale. We're like a week away to figure out what the group is going to be called, who's going to make it to the team. And suddenly, Mnet decides to drop the interim rankings to the press. Like they released or leaked the current rankings of the competition, how the voting was going, to the press on a regular Tuesday. Like there wasn't even like a show going on that day. It was more like they just leaked it so we could know how it was going, I guess. And everybody went crazy because suddenly no Japanese members are to be seen. No Esaki Hikaru, nor Kawaguchi Yurina, no Shana, no anybody that people were voting for. It was 9 Korean members, Huening Bahiyyih in like number 5, Su Ryuichi was a Chinese member at number 9th. And this drove people mad. Like Twitter and TikTok were going viral because this was confirmed to be like true. Everybody was reacting. Like some contestants that were eliminated prior to that were like reacting to the interim rankings that were leaked because they were like, what the actual fuck is this? Like
what? 他们就是我也不说什么，我也不知道我刚才看了什么，就是小乔，你给我看的是什么东西啊？
This makes no sense. It was disrespectful to the Chinese and to the Japanese people that were brought to the show, because it's like you're telling me that you're trying to make a global group with like the big like Asian countries and you're gonna have 8 Korean members in your group. Like that's pointless. Like literally twice has more diversity than this whatever this show is trying to do, which is all about diversity or segregation, whatever you think. But yeah, in my opinion, this is a theory, objective, but I think Mnet didn't like the ranking, and they also knew that if this is how the group would have ended up turning, like people were gonna get so upset at them and they were not gonna trust them with absolutely anything else. So they were like, hey, you need to see how the rankings are looking like to make sure that you're actually voting for the right girl, because this is how it looks right now and it's not looking well. And if we ended up putting a group out this way, we are gonna burn to hell. And Kim Chae-hyun was actually first, which shocked me because the week before on like the actual episode she ended up placing 10th, and I was freaking out because I was like, oh my god, my girl is 10th, she's not gonna make it. If she just makes one step up, like she made it, but like if she makes one down or two down, like she's gone. But she was first and she was my favorite contestant, and I was still kind of like shocked, you know. The ranking was basically her first, then she was followed by Yoojin, who was like, you know, the CLC member, then Kim Da-hyun third, then Youngin fourth, Huening Bahiyyih fifth, then Yeso, then Sooyeon, love her, then Gwyn Maya, who's like, I think she was 14 or 15, Gwyn Maya, I think that's how you pronounce her name, and then Soo Do-ichi at 9th place, as I mentioned. But yeah, this is crazy. This is really, really crazy. I haven't talked about her in this video at all, but Kawaguchi Yurina was like leading the show for a while. Like her and Shen XiaoTing were like top girls many times in the show. Like they were the type of girls that you see and you're like, yeah, like they're definitely gonna be in the group. They're super popular. I think at one point Kawaguchi Yurina was voted first. Like she had the most votes in like 100 different countries. Like she had millions of votes going for her. Same with Shen XiaoTing. And another reason why people had issues is because, like, again, Yurina wasn't here, like Chai Bing wasn't here, she was probably gonna get eliminated. You know, Shen XiaoTing wasn't here. Like the big girls of the competition weren't there, but suddenly Huening Bahiyyih managed to get in the top 9 and number 5. Like a lot of people were really outraged by it, and my theory is that they had a very specific voting system at Universe, and I don't think Universe knew exactly what was gonna happen. So basically in the app, I remember this vividly because I was voting since day one. First you had to pick like your top 9 people. Like in the first round of the auditions, you pick 9 of your favorite people. So basically you pick 3 in the J group, 3 in K group, and 3 in C group of who you were rooting for. And that kept consisting until later where you could only vote for your top 1 of each group. So basically you vote for your top pick on J group, top pick on C group, top pick in K group. You understand basically. But then right before the finale, everything changed when it didn't matter who you voted for and which group. You can only vote for one person, and that completely messed up everything, I think, because now you're not being forced to vote for 3 people, you only voted for 1. And for the girls that everybody liked, like Yurina and XiaoTing, maybe everybody liked them, so they had to vote for them at one point, but they were not everybody's first pick, you know. Like in my case is Chaehyun was my first pick, but I also wanted Yurina and Hikaru and like Shen XiaoTing to make it to the team, so I will vote for them as well in the other categories, but they were not my first pick. And I think that's what happened. People's first picks weren't the main ones, but they were everybody's like second picks. Korean votes also weighted way much more than the international votes, so 50% of the votes that mattered were going to be Korean, and the other 50% were worldwide. Yeah, that's a big percentage of the Korean votes. And you know how Koreans can be, like they want to see the Koreans win. I think that's just normal. This made the interim rankings look the way they look, and at the end of the day, Huening Bahiyyih started getting crazy hate at this point, and everybody was talking about it. She wasn't even like confirmed to be on the lineup yet, and there was already videos talking about how much hate she was getting and how much hate she was going to get if she was gonna make it into the team. Like I remember watching like my favorite K-pop like YouTubers basically being horrified by the way people were talking about Huening Bahiyyih, because they were like, she cannot make it to the group, she's untalented, she's not better than Yurina, she's not better than Shen XiaoTing, and then her fans being like, she's much better than Yurina and XiaoTing. And it was just like a big drama. But anyways, a week passes and the finale actually comes out, they perform a couple songs, really pretty. The rankings are being revealed, and I remember reacting to them live with my friend, and it was really funny. And basically, it was like Chaehyun still at number 1. I was super happy because she was my top pick. I actually couldn't believe she won the entire competition, because even though she was my favorite, I don't think she was my favorite because of how talented she was. I was just really in love with her voice. Like, her voice was like what I liked about her, but I don't think being a good vocalist is everything, you know? But anyways, I mean, people just develop taste out of nowhere, so they voted her number 1. Huening Bahiyyih debuted at number 2, which I wasn't surprised. Actually, yeah, I was really surprised that she like climbed up to number 2. I was expecting her to climb out because of all the controversy, but she ended up escalating 3 more spots. But yeah, that was crazy.
휴닝 바이예입니다.
Yujin at 3rd, super happy for her. Daeyeon at 4th, then we have Yeso at 5th. Young-un ended up 6th place, and that made the top 6 spots of the competition Korean members, which not good. Really not good. It made, in my opinion, it made Mnet look like a bunch of clowns, because girls planets, and like we have the 3 planets, and at the end of the day you're still gonna make a mainly Korean group. It's just pointless. It made the whole show, the whole premise of the show, pointless in my opinion. So yeah, but then we have a twist. Esaki Hikaru actually ended up making it back to the top 9, and she placed 7th, I think. And that was a relief, because that means there is going to be Japanese members on the group, which also boosts the group's popularity a lot, because Japan's like industry and the market there is really huge too. So I was really happy, and there's like a video of me and my friend reacting to seeing Hikaru making it to the team, because we recorded each other because we were so terrified that she was not going to make it.
에자키 히카루입니다.
And we also have Mashiro at 8th place, which also really happy, because, you know, another Japanese member, so we're happy. But that means, like, is Yuri now gonna be 9th and there's not gonna be Chinese members, or what's gonna happen, you know? Like, I was not necessarily rooting for Mashiro at the end, because I don't know, I feel like there was many other girls that I would have preferred, but again, I like Mashiro, don't get me wrong. And in 9th place, thankfully, we got Shen XiaoTing. As I said, she should have won the whole thing. But yeah, it was unexpected, because whenever you are watching the show, she was winning absolutely everything, and she was really popular. Everybody loved her. So yeah, I think it was kind of fucked up. But I mean, at the same time, I was happy, because at least she made it into the team. As long as she debuts, I'm happy. It doesn't matter what rank you got on the reality show where you came out of, because at the end of the day, once you're in a group and once you're an idol, it doesn't matter. But yeah, and just like that, they named their 9th winners, and they revealed that the group is going to be called Kep1er, you know, like the guy, the scientist or whatever. And, you know, it makes sense, because planets, girls planet, Kep1er, you know, if you know, you know. But basically it's Kep1er, but instead of with an L, it's a number 1, so it's Kep1er. If you have to ask Siri to play a song, so basically you have to go like, hey Siri, play, I don't know, Wadada by Kep1er, and that's how she would recognize it. Again, not my favorite K-pop name, but some people like it. I personally think it's a horrible name. Ignore the change, but I just wanted to re-record the part whenever I talked about their debut. I just didn't like it as much. Deal with it. So basically the show ends, right? We know who Kep1er is now, so we're just waiting. It's just a waiting game until their debut. And basically the Kep1er official Instagram account and Twitter starts like posting their teasers, and like they basically post a lot of photo shoots of the girls. We don't know what the concept is gonna be like until just a month or a couple months after that, they actually have their long-awaited debut with Wadada. They basically debuted with the title track Wadada from the album First Impact, and you would probably think that now that Huening Bahiyyih is like a K-pop idol, she has a lot of lines, she's really popular, she's doing way better, but that's actually not what happened. So she actually ended up getting 8.3 seconds of lines in the Wadada music video and song overall. Not a lot, basically. It's less than a line. Like, she only had a little part when she's like repeating what Eugene said first, which is like the stand up, higher, that part. And then she got some ad-libs like, oh hey, and then like, yeah, like that's all she really did on their debut. And it was really sad because like on the whole album she just got according to my notes 53.6 seconds of singing, to be precise, which is less than a minute. Like the most popular member of Kep1er just sang for less than a minute in the entire like debut album. So basically she was just a glorified backup dancer, like a really pretty glorified backup dancer for Kep1er, which made no sense to many people, including myself. I was like, I don't think she needed to be in the group, but now that she is in the group, at least let her do something, you know. I don't think it's fair for her to be in the group and not do anything important, basically. I don't know if that's rude, but I would rather for her just not to be in the group rather than be in the group and not sing. A lot of people were also thinking that she was just a glorified backup dancer because Mnet didn't want to give her lines. Some people think maybe she didn't choose that many lines, maybe she didn't want to sing that much. And also a lot of people were bringing up the fact that in Girls Planet 999, every time before a performance would happen, the members would gather up, try out the lines, and then they will all like a democracy vote who did the line best, and that's the person that gets the lines. And a lot of people were like, well, maybe Kep1er does that too. They all perform the lines, and whoever does it better gets the line, and that's why Huening Bahiyyih didn't get any lines, because she just didn't do better than anybody else, so she got the leftover lines again, like in the Fiesta situation. But anyways, I don't think that's how it is. She's basically the Vivi of Kep1er. Like if you know Luna, you know what I'm talking about. Basically Vivi is a member on this other group called Luna, where they're really talented, they're really popular. They were on Queendom, which we'll talk about Queendom. She's just like she's not the best one in the group, but she's also not the worst one. I will say that she just is a glorified backup dancer. She only gets like 2-3 seconds of singing on every song, no screen time. It's just really fucked up. The company really doesn't care about Vivi. But why is this, you know? So like, do you remember how I mentioned that like the Chinese members were mistreated during like the show? If you don't, it's because I actually completely forgot to say that. The Chinese members were always kind of like mistreated. A lot of them were evil edited or like stupid edited. Like Mnet kind of made sure that a lot of Chinese members of the show were only given like negative criticism, or like they will edit them to make them look evil or stupid or like irresponsible or like rude, you know. So all the, you know, for example, if Dion were to do something, like angel music would start playing and everybody would praise her, but then Chai Bing would say something and the music will be like tense and dark, and then you'll see other people being like, oh, I don't like that she did this, and type of thing. So yeah, Chinese girls did not have a fun time in the show. Like the producers were basically not really fond of the Chinese girls for whatever reason. Even the staff was not treating them equally. But okay, I'm gonna let you guess from what country Vivi from Luna is. If you said Guatemala, you're wrong. I actually have no idea what you would even say Guatemala. I'm pretty sure I was making sure that I was hinting that she was Chinese. But anyways, I definitely don't think it's a race thing when it comes to Huening Bahiyyih, because number one, she's not Chinese. She's Korean American, if you want to like get really into it, because of her dad, you know. But I think that's also like different, because like usually Korean American idols are the more popular members of the group, and they get the most lines too. Like that's been proven with like Momoland. I was gonna say TXT, but that's not the case anymore. I don't know, like in general, just check the spreadsheet. I don't know, they make the biggest impact. Koreans maybe don't like the Chinese and the Japanese idols that much, but they do like whenever some of their Korean idols have a little bit of white. I'm not gonna get there, but I do think it's very obvious. What I personally think, this is just a theory, objective, I think is the company, Wake1, or Mnet as a whole, they don't really believe in her. I think they see all the negative like feedback that she gets all the time in the internet, and I think they see all the hate, and I think they may agree with it to a certain extent, and I think she also can see it, and I don't think she fully believes in herself either because of all the negativity and all the haters that she has. So that's why the company just gives her very little lines and treats her as a beautiful backup dancer, basically, because she is beautiful and she's really pretty. That's undeniable. However, I do think this will change, hopefully, because she is popular, and yes, she's not the best one in Kep1er, She's already an idol. She's in the industry. She has to get better. And maybe I'm wrong, because maybe I have seen lately that there's a lot of people criticizing idols that have been in the industry for 2 years. I'm not gonna name them, but people think they are not improving when it comes to dancing or singing. If you know who I'm talking about, you may know who I'm talking about, but they are getting a lot of hate right now because they're in the industry and they're not improving. I don't think this is gonna happen with Huening Bahiyyih. I think every time they have a comeback, they're gonna improve. She's already showing improvements, because not only they became idols, they participated on another survival show / reality show named Queendom 2, or season 2 of Queendom, which is a whole other scandal, and let's talk about this too. After their debut was announced, it was revealed that they were joining another reality show. Like, they basically had a reality show, they were formed, had a debut, and then jumped into another reality show, basically.
Attention. Now you know who we are, Kep1er.
But the point of Queendom is make sure that already established or debuted like K-pop groups compete with each other to win, like, I don't know, like a comeback stage or something. Basically, being in this show gives you more global exposure, because a lot of people watched Queendom the very first season, and all the groups that appear on the first season became much more successful. They gain experience. For example, there was groups like Brave Girls in the show. There's 6 groups on the show, by the way. Brave Girls, they are popular in Korea right now because one of their songs blew up, and it's like a big military song or whatever. So they joined the show to get more like global exposure, so they could get more international fans. Now that they're going in an international tour as we speak. And then we also have groups like Luna, who performs in the show as well. They are really big internationally. Like, they are a big global girl group. Like, everybody loves them around the world, but they're not particularly famous in Korea. Now Kep1er, I think they're like 50-50. I think Kep1er has a good chunk of international fans and a good chunk of Korean fans. So I think they were there just to get experience. I like to say that Kep1er like really ate their seniors in their competition. And I want to talk about this show, but I don't really want to go too in depth over the performances of the show, because to be honest, like, the other groups kind of cleaned the floor with Kep1er. Like, there's 6 groups on the competition, and Kep1er was under either last or 5th. Most of the time 5th. They didn't really win much of anything, even though I think they did pretty good, but the other groups simply just did better. But I think that's expected, because some of the people there had like 10 years, 7 years of experience in the industry, and these are like itty bitty like girls that just debuted. They're like tiny little girls, you know. Yeah, the only group that they passed was Brave Girls. I love them though. Please support Brave Girls. 3 best friends about to watch Queendom 2. We all are rooting for Brave Girls. Are we not? Okay, never mind. Now, okay, I know what I want to talk about. So basically, there was a round on the show where the groups, if they have many members, they will send their members that excel at a certain category. Like that one round in Girls Planet 99. So the best dancers of each group would do a dancing song, and the best singers would sing, and blah 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 blah, right? So basically, in Kep1er, they send Young'un, Chaehyun to the singing part of the competition, and I think they performed the song with Chu from Luna, who's like the main vocalist of Luna. They lost. They didn't win that one, sadly. But for their dancing category, they end up sending Hikaru, XiaoTing, and Daeon. They also didn't win this round, sadly. So you'll wonder what they were doing, because like, what was Eugene and Huening Bahiyyih like doing while they were not performing? Because like, they're not getting this experience of like collaborating with other groups. Like, what are they doing? They have to be doing something really important in the meantime, right? Well, don't worry, I'll tell you what they were doing. So I'm not making this shit up. While the other members were practicing, the girls, including Huening Bahiyyih, they were actually preparing a special meal for the other participants of the show, so they could show off and portray their cooking skills instead. Pretty nice, pretty nice. I thought that was great. I mean, go off. Another thing that I'll point out before moving on from Queendom 2 is that in one of the last episodes, they did a cover of The Boys by Girls' Generation, like the Girls' Generation make you feel complete. Like that song, that's a banger, okay? And really bold that they chose that song, but like Girls' Generation songs, they're very huge, like they're respected. Like you need to have balls in order to cover their songs. And I do want to point out that Huening Bahiyyih actually did really good. Her dancing was on point, her facial expressions were on point. I'm pretty sure she loved the song because the energy that she delivered in that performance was really good. I didn't see her fan cam blow up as much as some other fan cams. I'm not entirely sure why. I think it's because just not as many people were watching Queendom 2 as they were with Girls Planet 999. But I mean, I was told to make sure that I said this on this video because she did do very well on this performance. I might put the fan cam in here.
Girls, bring the boys out. Girls' generation make you feel the heat. 전 세계가 우리 주목해. But bring the boys out.
Regardless of the fact that they didn't win and that they basically, you know, never won anything in the entire show, they gained a lot of experience and they did get like plenty of new fans, and all of the members improved their skills, you know, competing against other idols that were 10 years like in the industry with experience. They learned a lot. At the end of the day, I do recommend you checking like Kep1er's performance if you're interested in. I mean, I think I enjoyed their pool party performance more. The boys, and also their beginning, like their opening thing that I played already. But yeah, hopefully for their next comeback, Huening Bahiyyih would have more lines, she's more confident, you know. We just don't know what's gonna happen to them now that the show is over. Unless, did someone say yellow and blue fantastic? Cause
바로 지금 네야. Here we go. 상상 속에 나의 삶 따라 줄을 서.
so Kep1er actually had their very first comeback on June 20th of 2022 with their title track Up from the mini album Do Blast or Do Blast. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's really ugly titled and really ugly packaged, but I actually really love this song. Don't get me wrong, it's really fun, it's really summery. I love it. It's fun. I like it. It's what I need during the summer. I love the song. It's nothing crazy, but their sales slightly went up. I think they did like 150,000 album sales from their debut and 153,000 from their comeback, which is not bad because they didn't go down, but it's also not good because you're supposed to like, you were just on Queendom 2. You know? Sadly, things didn't really change for Huening Bahiyyih over here. She actually got a little bit more lines this time around because she had 13.23 seconds, which is a little better. It's better than 8 seconds than in Wadada than in Up. But actually, she didn't even get the least amount of lines. Those 13.23 seconds were more than Yeso at this comeback. So I don't really know. Maybe Mnet is just bad with line distribution. But I really like Bahiyyih's part this time around in the comeback because I think her part this time is really catchy. Not to say that her part in Wadada was not catchy, but it just wasn't like, whoa, you know, her fans will say it's a whoa because, you know, it's her. But I think this one is actually really good. You know, she's like, it's good. It's good. I like it. I like me some Huening Bahiyyih over here. But for some reason, I do want to point something out that every time they perform, well, not every time, but I have noticed that in some performances that they do, when she's singing her part, she closes her mouth like half a second early, so you see her stop singing while her voice is still sounding. So if you pay attention, it really shows that she was lip syncing. Nothing wrong with that. Everybody was lip syncing, but everybody lip syncs, I think, better than her. No shade. I mean, I do have to point out that she is improving a lot, but that's just a little nitpick over me. I don't like whenever you're lip syncing something, but you're not moving your mouth correctly, I guess. It happens. It's how K-pop is nowadays, and everybody lip syncs. Now that I explained everything from the second she was announced to be in the group, from her family and like all her story all the way until now, the comeback, I think it's time to close everything up and kind of like gather our thoughts and figure out the whole conclusion of this video. What did we learn, okay? So to begin, I know I may have been a little hard on her in some ways. I mean, I know that she's a hardworking girl, and I know that as of now she's a minor. She's just about to turn 18, so I'm trying to, like, you know, be considerate of what I'm saying. I'm not gonna shame her in anything, but I also think it's important not to sugarcoat anything when I say that I do see what people are saying when it comes to her not being quote-unquote good enough to be in Kep1er. Do I agree with them? Not necessarily, because her hate is a combination of many reasons. You know, it's not she's pretty or she's untalented or she's not as talented. There's a lot of factors, you know, and I don't think it's because of Huening Kai. I mean, if you're a Huening Kai hater, most likely you're gonna hate his sister too, but I don't think it's the main reason. What I speculate is that some people only watch like the auditions of Girls Planet 999. They didn't really care about the show, or they didn't like the show after the auditions, so they saw her in the auditions, and understandably they didn't think she was special or much more than other contestants. So whenever they saw that the results of the show came out with her winning, the audience, like, you know, they weren't happy, and they turned their indifference into hate, especially after seeing all the stands that she has. And I know it may be sounding like I'm saying that if you watch the show you're gonna hate her, but that's not true. You're not gonna hate her if you watch the show, and if you didn't watch the show, that means that you're gonna love her. Because I do know one specific case. I'm pretty sure there's more people, but personally I know someone that's not necessarily a K-pop stan. She listens to K-pop kind of casually, which is crazy. I didn't know that existed. But yeah, she likes Blackpink, she likes GOT7, you know. But she told me that she liked Up, right? Because I told her that I was working on a video on one of the Kep1er members, basically, as my first YouTube video. And she was like, really? Because there's this one Kep1er member that I noticed, and she's really pretty, but when I see her perform, compared to the other groups, I think she reminds me of a saltless egg, is what she said. And at this point, I didn't even tell her that that's the girl that I'm making a video about. I just said that I'm working on a video over a more popular Kep1er member, and then she was like, this one right here, she doesn't have any seasoning, basically. Like, she's well cooked, but she's lacking the flavor, is what I think, is what I understood for her from her saltless egg comment. And then when I told her, like, well, it's actually her that I'm making a video on, and she was kind of like, really? Because I just don't think she's up to par with the other ones. And I was like, well, yeah, but that's the whole point. That's the whole point of the video. Like, she didn't watch the show. She didn't know she was Kai's sister. She didn't know anything. She just saw her, and she was like, yeah, her dancing skills are not up to par with like Hikaru or XiaoTing, you know. So yeah, it's noticeable, is what I'm saying. And to be 100% honest with you, that is exactly how I felt about her at the beginning. I was like, she's pretty, she has potential, which is what they told her at the audition. The judges in her audition said that she had a lot of potential, but even though she was smiling in the performance, her eyes weren't smiling. So she needed to work more on like believing in herself, believing in the songs. And that's what I felt about her. I didn't think she didn't deserve to be in Kep1er, but I think she clearly lacked the training that the other members did already have. She taught herself like how to sing, and she was in a dancing school, but it wasn't like a K-pop dancing school. She wasn't under a trainee process. And all these other members, they were like signed to like big labels. Like Chaehyun was part of SM Entertainment, Mashiro was part of JYP Entertainment. Like, they have like top tier training, basically, and that's why you can tell. And she just didn't have that, so she was honestly in just a disadvantage. Basically, she was self-taught. She was an indie contestant competing with a lot of people that had a lot of like experience as a trainee or even experience as an idol. So she was just in a big disadvantage. Not saying that that's a good excuse to put her on the group and to feel like she deserves it better because she was in a disadvantage, but I feel like we need to point out that she just didn't have the professional training, and that's a fact. However, she's such a likable person. I mean, I think she's so cutesy and like polite. People just gravitate towards her regardless of her talents, and I think that happens in a lot of K-pop groups, that the most popular member not necessarily is the most talented. They just feel like her personality is really nice, and I think people really like her personality. Do I think she has the best personality in the planet? I don't know. I don't personally know her, but I know for a fact that she can only go up from now.
Yellow and blue fantastic
But it's kind of sad because no matter what she does, the amounts of hate that she gets and that she's been getting from day one is just ridiculous, and it's very, very unnecessary. And as I said, I didn't particularly agree with the fact that she should have won the show, but I also never considered to like bash her online and say that she's a product of nepotism, and if she wasn't related to Hyun Kai, then she wouldn't be in there, which a lot of people hate that statement because it has a sprinkle of truth to it. Do I agree with it? No, but there's like a little bit of truth in that statement, and that's why a lot of her fans hate when people say that, oh, she's only there because of her brother. No, she's not there because of her brother, but that definitely helped her out. It pushed her up a little more, you know, than the other contestants. It's taking a toll on her because she knows that people hate her, and I've seen a lot of like interviews that they do, and Kep1er, sometimes they're having interviews, and I think in one of them they ask them like, you know, their goals and stuff, and she said multiple times that she wants to work really hard and be more skilled like her other members. She wants to be a better dancer and a better singer to become like the other Kep1er members, you know, because she sees all these comments that she needs to be like the others or that she's not up to par. And Yujin, actually, who is in my, I think she's the leader of the group, she usually just cuts her off and goes like, no, you need to work hard, but just to be yourself, like you're perfect the way you are, you don't need to be like the other members. Oh my god. Basically, she always like reassures her and tells her that like she's perfect for who she is. She doesn't need to try to be like anybody else. Her being Huening Bahiyyih is like more than enough, is what she tells her, and I think that's beautiful. I'm just glad that she has like such a nice leader and such nice members that support her, because then she can actually do learn from them anyways, and she can get support and advice and like tips basically. I don't know, I'm just glad she's getting support from them, because here's a whole other thing. You would think that she's really popular in Korea because of all the Korean votes that she got in order for her to place second, but every time they have a fan sign, this is something that I didn't know, like my friends told me this while we were having sushi. They were like, hey Sam, do you know that every time they have a fan meeting or like a fan sign, nobody talks to her? And I'm just like, what do you mean nobody talks to her? And they're like, yeah, so fans will go with gifts and like things to sign for all the other 8 members, but nobody really talks to her, and she's always visibly really sad and disappointed that she doesn't have fans. And I'm just like, I can see them online, like I know she has fans and that they're not trolls, like I know they have fans. So it's just really sad, and I started looking it up, and it's true. Like on the fan meetings, like the last one they had, all the members were surrounded by gifts that the fans brought them, but Huening Bahiyyih didn't even have a single gift. Like nobody gave her absolutely anything. Nobody really cared about talking to her. So Hikaru actually went up to her and gave her like a cute like little like jewelry thing that she got from one of the fans, so she could kind of share her gift, to be just nice. As I said, I don't really understand it, because yes, she's the most hated Kep1er member, and yes, she's also the most popular Kep1er member, and her fans are like very, very bold and outspoken, because whenever you look anything Kep1er related, Huening Bahiyyih is the one that has more content out. People love her, people make edits of her. Her fan cams have like 4-7 times more views than other members, including Yujin, who's like an idol. She's been having a fan base since like what, 2015? Like she's crazy popular, you know, and Huening Bahiyyih is 4 times more popular than that. Like come on, like where are these fans that so claim to love her that much? Because then whenever they see videos of her not getting any gifts, they're like, oh, like respect her, please love her. But yeah, so many people love her, like where are these fans? I just think they're gonna do great. I think Kep1er's future and Huening Bahiyyih's future is just looking really bright. I don't know exactly what is going to happen whenever they disband. I think she might end up getting signed into a label and joining a girl group, or maybe debuting as a soloist if I feel like her skills can pull a solo act, which a lot of people online, whenever she was in Girls Planet 999, they were saying that she shines better in a group, which I agree. I think if Kep1er disbands in 2 years, which is going to happen, she's most likely going to end up debuting in a different group or just doing something else other than the K-pop industry, because she probably noticed how toxic it is. And yeah, sorry, I know this was a very long video, and I know I ranted a lot and talked about a lot and probably got sidetracked many times, but I mean, you didn't really have to watch it. If you made it till here, like props to you. Thank you. My watch time definitely appreciated. Again, my intention was never to like offend anybody. I'm not trying to create any like fan wars or anything like that. I just wanted to express my opinion because this is a topic that obviously I'm really interested in. So if you disagree with anything or you have a different theory other than the billion theories that came up in this video, just make sure to, respectfully type them in the comments because I will be 100% reading them. I love Girls Planet 999 talk. So if you want to talk about my opinions on other contestants like Yurina or Chai Bing or Fuyaning, just let me know. I will be reading you. Just be respectful because if I have like 12-year-old Huening Bahiyyih stands on my comments telling me that she's the next Beyonce, I'm not gonna read you and I'm most likely gonna delete your freaking comment. Anyways, I appreciate that you watched all the way through here again. Don't use makeup wipes, do use a lot of sunscreen, stay hydrated, and yeah, hopefully we'll see you soon on my next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.
We got